So she got caught in someone's private cave system. So around Harrington Sound, there are caves that connect from the sea to Harrington Sound. So we think she came into the caves when she was really little and was able to fit through, and then grew to be too big and couldn't swim back because the people who lived there kept seeing her more and more. So this is her in her little grotto as she's swimming around. So we got a phone call asking us to come and have a look at her, and then we decided that we should probably rescue her, as in the caves there wouldn't be a huge amount of food for her. Obviously she couldn't live there long term. So this is her swimming around in her little grotto. You can see she's using her mouth to dig in the ground and look for food. So first, when we got there, we put some shrimp in the water for her in the hopes that we could get her to come into the shallows, where she'd come in nice and close to us so that we could catch her easily. So this is the net that we were going to use to bury her off. But she sort of cottoned on to what we were trying to do. So she never came quite as close as we'd hoped. So we did end up sort of changing our plans slightly, but we were able to catch her in the end. But see, we were trying to spot her. So where those rocks are at the back, it actually goes deeper underwater. So she would disappear down the back there every now and then. So we had to keep trying to find her. So what we wanted was her to come in really close up here where it's really shallow. So we could then throw the net around her and then catch her in there with a softer net. So she swam around for a while. We were there, I think, for about an hour trying to catch her. And then obviously in the end, we did manage to catch her. So this is when we managed to get her trapped in the corner. And Troy was very luckily there with the soft net. So we were able to catch her. And we were checking, and that's when we realized she was a girl. So we're now walking her back. You can see we're keeping her under the water, obviously, so that she can use her gills to breathe. So now here we do a quick weight check. We weren't sure how much she would actually weigh, and we wanted to make sure that we would only need the two of us to run her up the hill. So we thought we would. That's what we're doing here. We're doing a quick weight check because we didn't want to climb out and realize that we couldn't carry her to the two of us and needed more people. So we're trying to get ready to go up the hill. So it was a little bit of a walk up to the truck where we had her, where we were taking her to. And obviously, it was a slightly difficult climb out there, but it wasn't too bad. So we're just getting ready. Then Choi comes out. And then we ran her up. So both of us holding the net, we ran as fast as we could, as safe as we could, up to the truck. And we got her in some water there. And then we drove her back to the aquarium. So then she joined us in our largest quarantine tank we have here at the aquarium. So now when we first brought her to the aquarium, we weren't sure if she was going to do well in captivity. So we were going to sort of check her at about day 14. And if she wasn't doing well, then we were going to have to change our plans of what we were going to do. But luckily, after 7 days of being with us, she started eating. And you can see this is during one of her, her first few days. She's swimming around the edges quite a lot, and she's doing this tapping behavior. So she was doing that to try and sort of calm herself down. And then once she was really calm and comfortable in the tank, she started swimming around a lot more normally. But now this is the day that we moved her into the North Rock tank. So she cleared her 30 days quarantine. She did really well in captivity. She settled in well, and she started feeding, as I said, within 7 days. So we were very pleased with her progress. So after she'd been with us, I think it was for about 34 days, we then moved her into the North Rock tank. So this is just us draining the pool so we could capture her easily and just giving it a bit of a clean. Because while she was in there, we hadn't cleaned it too much because we didn't want to disturb her while she was in her quarantine. Whereas normally we clean that big tank out at least once a week because the algae does grow really well. It's obviously exposed to the sun, but we didn't want to stress her out anymore. Then you see she's coming up to Roma. She's quite inquisitive. So that was a really good sign for us before we moved her. So when we moved her, we also did some health checks on her. So we weighed her, we took measurements, and our vet, Dr. Ian Walker, also just did a general examination of her to make sure that he was happy that she was nice and healthy. So we always put our animals through 30 days of quarantine just to make sure that they're not carrying anything that can make any of the other animals sick. So if anything, if we find, say, any parasites or anything like that on them within that 30 days, once they're cleared of the parasites or whatever it is, then that 30 days starts again. So once they've been clear of any bugs or diseases for 30 days, then that's so they can join everybody else. So it just helps to keep all of our animals safe. So that big hanging bag there that you saw, that was how we used to weigh her. So it's a big soft net. So we weighed the weight of the net, and then we put Teresa in it and hung her from the scales. It's the same sorts of scales that we often use to weigh our big turtles, so it can hold a lot of weight. And here we go. So this is the net there. And I believe she weighed 4.2 kilos at the time that we weighed her. And now when you guys see her today, she's put on a good bit of weight. We think she's probably about 5 kilos now. It's just that big mesh soft net that we use to weigh her because it feels nice. And so Teresa does have very soft skin. So that's why we do want to use our nice soft nets, just so that it's gentler on her skin. So this is the part that I actually didn't see, because at this point in time, I had run up and I was in the tank. So at this point in time, we've already done all the health checks on her. She's already had all her health checks. She's been weighed, she's been measured, she's been fully examined, and then we put her in this trash bag because it is nice and soft, so we know it won't damage her, and it also holds a bit of water. So we don't want to carry too much water because that'd be quite heavy, but enough water so that there's a little bit of oxygen there for her. Obviously, it is only a quick short run, so then we run up to the North Rock tank, and then Lisa and I were in the tank ready to help receive Teresa. So we need to help release her, but then also to make sure that she doesn't swim into things like the acrylic. So being an animal who hasn't, lived in captivity before, they won't be used to the acrylic windows, and they can actually be quite hard to see. So we were there to help block and to make sure that she didn't swim into herself, but also to make sure that we could get her face down. Yeah, and there off she goes. So she did a couple of laps of the tank, and she sort of met all the other animals. Everyone was quite interested in her. And the way that she was swimming, she could tell that she was sort of, it's a new environment. She was a bit scared at first. You can tell that from her swimming pattern. But then there she is. You can see she's swimming relatively quickly. And then over time, you'll see that how her swimming patterns changes as she settles into the tank. So there's Lisa there. So we were just in to spot, make sure that she was doing all right, and make sure nobody else hassled her too much. And then Roman, you're going to see in a sec, there you'll see she's making a big sign, trying to make it obvious to Teresa not to swim into the acrylic. If sort of, Teresa sees something big and scary, then she won't swim into it. And then I was on the other big acrylic window trying to stop her swimming into that one. Just because when it's something you haven't seen before, it can be quite hard to figure out. But now this is Teresa now. So this was, I took my GoPro in a few weeks ago. So this is what we recorded a few weeks ago. And she gets really close. She's very nosy now. She is very friendly. She does come up a lot. So this is just a couple of videos of her now. And also we're going to see her in a few minutes as well. So you'll see what she's like, actually today. But this is, you can see the change in her behaviors from the first day she went in to how she is now. And she will come over and feed from us now as well. So when she first went into North Rock, she didn't eat once again for 7 days. And then on day 7, she started eating again. So that was a really good sign for us. We were happy then that she was comfortable in the tank, that she had settled in.